Good morning, New York. This morning, New York City Rent Guidelines Board is meeting to reconsider and discuss proposed increases in rents for residential apartments that are subject to rent control. There's been pushback that the range of increases that they're considering is too much. It's a really complicated issue, and you can have nothing but empathy for people who are on fixed incomes or people who are working maybe two jobs just to try and make ends meet, have a roof over their head, and having rent increases is no fun. But at the same time, the cost of owning and running an apartment building has risen significantly in recent years and continues to. The real estate taxes go up every year, and New York City famously uses the real estate industry as its ATM. And just the cost of labor and materials for anything, as we all know when we go shopping for anything, has risen and continues to rise. So the landlords cannot continue to be subject to various and many different cost increases without having the rent increase commensurately. Not a money grab, but just allow them to stay level and stay afloat, because if you don't do it, landlords can't afford to keep the building. They lose the building, it goes back to the city, and everybody loses. The apartments aren't maintained, the building isn't maintained, the heating systems, plumbing, electrical infrastructure isn't maintained. So it's a losing strategy to, not give any increases in rent to the landlords whose own costs are going up. One solution I heard someone discussing was that, if you want to help, if the city or the state wants to help solve the problem for tenants who really can't afford it, maybe you give some kind of voucher or some kind of credits to those tenants to help them afford to pay the rent increases that the landlords need to keep the buildings safe, functional, and operational. And perhaps there needs to be a revisiting of subsidized housing. Many people are not aware that there's no income test for someone getting a rent regulated apartment. So there's famous examples of very wealthy celebrities and other wealthy people who have these fabulous apartments at ridiculously low rents. Well, that shouldn't be the case. There should be income and other tests to make sure that the people who are getting these apartments are the ones who really need it. But politicians, for some reason, don't want to do that. That's a huge, huge mistake, and kind of a travesty, because you're letting a bunch of wealthy people who don't need assistance get it at the expense of people who really need it. So when you see TV shows and we read newspaper articles discussing the Rent Guidelines Board looking to increase rents, and people talk about the evil landlords just looking for more profit, realize there's always a couple of sides to every story. If you know anyone on the Rent Guidelines Board, and I do, reach out and have a conversation with them and support doing the right thing for everybody. That's the thought of the day.